Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and maybe an episode of myth debunking or George rants on things. So this is going to be a two-part video. It is a reaction video to a GCN video that I just watched. And GCN, they make content for the masses. And I was watching them 4 or 5 years ago. And I've seen them morph into more of a marketing company, but that's okay. They do provide some decent content from time to time, and they provide me with plenty of content to either debunk or provide my own comments on and my own thoughts on their topics, on how they covered their topics. And just recently they posted a video about is cycling tech slowing you down? And some of it, of course, the titles are clickbait, but I'm a consumer like everyone else, and I like to see what they are posting, and then I also like to see how different is it from my personal opinion on things. So, two-part video. We're only going to cover 4 things today, and then in a different video, we'll cover the other 4 things. Basically, they covered items that are cycling tech, and they said, okay, these are functional, but there are other options that are that are lighter and more aero. But I'm taking a little bit of a spin on that. So the first thing was super deep aero wheels. That was their first topic. And personally, I don't like deep section wheels. I ride a lot in mountainous areas, windy areas, sometimes open field may open up after you're doing, a few switchbacks. All of a sudden you have an open field and the wind it just surprises you. I know it's coming and it still surprises me. So I don't like wheels any deeper than 50 millimeters if I can help it. One of my favorite wheels is a 46, but generally below that. So the 35 to 45 range, that's what I prefer on my bike. And I try to give that type of consult to my customers as well. Hey, listen, why are you buying these wheels? Are you buying them for the bling factor? Are you buying them for the Starbucks factor? And if you're not familiar with that term from previous videos, it's when your bike is parked at Starbucks and everybody's looking at your bike and you're like, oh, wow, look at that and look at this. And everyone wants to give you compliments. And for some people, that's validation. For me, I don't care. I just like a functioning bike, a fast bike. And I like more traditional looking things on my bikes. So these deep 80 millimeter wheels, we all have a friend, maybe he's a triathlete or something, and that's all he rides. That's his everyday wheels. But another reason why I just don't like deep section wheels is I do a lot of things while rolling on the bike. I don't stop to take off my vest or put on my vest. I don't stop to grab food out of my pocket. I don't stop to maybe I don't stop to maybe switch the bottle from front to rear on my bike. I do that all while rolling. Sometimes I'll ride no-handed to do those items, sometimes one-handed. But if you have a deep section front wheel, the bike is really unstable. So why are you buying the wheels? You must ask yourself that. And they're great for time trialing. They're great for maybe flat terrain in a non-windy area. But generally speaking, in my opinion, they're just not worth all the trouble. I do rides that are called no-no rides, and that's no stops for no reason. So we don't stop for regrouping. We don't stop for refueling. We don't stop for picture taking. We don't stop for potty breaks. It's 6, 7, 8 hours on the bike, rolling the entire time. So San Diego weather, it changes a lot in a 4 or 5 hour time frame. It could be 20 to 30 degrees. And so you go out with all this extra stuff and then you start peeling layers, but you do it while you are rolling. Okay, there's more, but let's just move on to item number 2. Item number 2 is frame pump. Now, they said, of course, that there are lighter things and more aero things, but I like a frame pump. And when I go very long, especially solo, San Diego is basically an irrigated desert. I mean, water is piped in, literally. Otherwise, everyone and everything would die here. It doesn't rain much. And I mean, I think we had about 4 or 5 rainy days, and now we're February 8th or 9th, and I mean, it's 80 degrees outside right now in February. And if you ride about 30-ish miles, and sometimes less depending on which direction, 30-ish miles from the coast, which to us is the west, you ride inland, which is east, in about 30 miles or so, it is very, well, it's rural before that, but when you get 30-ish miles, 40 miles, you're in the desert. There's no people riding bikes. There's nobody out there. And if you puncture more than once or twice, the CO2s you may have or the tubes you may have, you're going to need a patch kit, and you're going to need, especially if you get these goat heads and thorns or nettles or whatever out there, especially when it's windy, all that stuff gets blown off or blown onto the road from the open fields. You're going to need a patch kit, and you're going to need a frame pump to air up. I've had friends who've had to Uber and all that stuff, and that gets costly. So I believe in frame pumps. Now, if I go on these long epic days, your carbon frame is not, with all the sloping and the angles and the this and the that, it's very hard to put a frame pump on underneath the top tube. So I generally ride my steel bikes. Put that on there, put a Velcro strap around it, I'm good to go. If I have a patch kit of 4 or 5 patches and a frame pump, I mean, I can at least get back to civilization, and then whatever after that. But I am curious, what do you folks do with your spent CO2s and your spent or punctured tubes? As far as the environment goes, like, what do you do with them, right? So that's that. Okay, number 3, bar bags. Now, this must be a gravel thing that's permeating slowly into the roadside. I disdain anything attached to the handlebars. So if I'm ruffling your feathers, just hear me out. I just don't like stuff all over my handlebars. I don't like a bag. I don't like a phone is actually the next item. I don't like, I don't know. People put all kinds of stuff on the handlebars. Handlebars should be nice, clean, cycling computer to document your epic stuff and brag about it on social media. But that's about it. Maybe don't go without a head unit. Maybe don't ride with a computer. But just handlebars, nice and clean. I don't like the weight. I've test-ridden bikes, but I won't put it on my bike. I've test-ridden bikes with the extra weight on the handlebars. I don't like it. It's just, and aesthetically, it just looks, well, it's unpleasing to the eye. Let's just leave it at that. If I were to go on something fairly long, 200 to, well, even 200, so I don't carry anything extra. Let's say 300 miles and above. I might, let's say 500K, I might I have an Assos backpack, and to call it a backpack is a huge disservice. It's a very slim, aerodynamic type of, they call it a spider bag, and it goes on and it just sits very, very flush, and you can put enough stuff in there. I mean, think about it. You still got 3 pockets on your jersey. I don't know what else you need, and you should be able to buy some stuff along the way. I know, irrigated desert in San Diego, but other places that you may live in the country or the world. And I want to go back to number 1 just for a second. So we had a rider over the weekend riding with us, and they went out with a vest because it was cold in the morning and I knew it was going to heat up, so I went without vest, base layer, anything. But he had all the stuff in his pockets of the vest. And just a quick pro tip for you, depending on where you live, of course, and depending on how long your ride is and what the temperature range is going to be. So you do you in your region of the world. But I never put anything in the pockets of my cycling vest, because that vest is coming on and off based on the weather conditions. If I crest, a mountain and I need to put it on for the descent, but then take it off once we hit the bottom, I don't want anything in the pockets of the vest because I need to take it on and off. Okay, so that goes back to number one, because if you have deep section wheels, you can't do any of that stuff while rolling. You have to pull over, empty out your pockets of your vest, put everything in your jersey pockets, and then take off your vest. All right, number four, so we can move to close this video, is phones on your cockpit area. Why are you riding with a phone there? Either have a cycling computer, or if you are running Strava app on your phone, just put it in your pocket. I don't know why anyone rides with a phone. I've seen people with a phone and a cycling computer. Why? Let's get a little philosophical about this. When I get on the bike, I want to forget everything. I want to have that peace of mind out on the road. I don't want to be bugged by phone calls and emails. I generally put my phone on airplane mode. Also, it conserves battery out in the boonies here. But I don't want anything distracting me from riding my bike. I'm out riding my bike. If you're that busy of a person, you're an executive or any of these other things, or your kids or daycare or something like that, then maybe outdoor cycling is not for you. Stay at home, ride your kicker, and then you're close to the family unit all the time. And the fun is, Chris Froome was, and if you don't know who Chris Froome is, he's won all 3 Grand Tours. He is one of the most successful stage racers of our time. He was even promoting, I think, a quad lock or something to put his phone on top of his handlebars. So I don't know. I guess I'm not as cool as Chris Froome. And I think that's about the last bit of it. Just basically, I just like to reduce all clutter on my handlebars. I just don't like stuff all over my handlebars. Generally speaking, unless it's my Bianchi, I ride Celeste tape on my Bianchi. On most of my other bikes, black bar tape. That's it. It's plain simple. It's not distracting, and just a cycling computer, and that's it. Anyway, so that's all for today. There's going to be a part 2 to this video. If I ruffled some feathers, I hope that at least you understood my viewpoint, and maybe you're not so grumpy with me. Okay, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and in the meantime, we'll see you up the road.